and night. And it isn't that, they're lying to us. It's just not a fair and balanced view of the way the world is, right? And so it impacts our lives. It changes our mindset. With that kind of a negative mindset, it's truly something that holds you back from creating the future that we all want to live into. But the data is so clear. We're living in a world that is far better than ever before by almost every single measure. We have more opportunity than ever before. When I think about it, what really gets me excited is that the number of people solving problems is exploding. It used to just be 1,000 years ago that the only people who could solve a problem on a local, national, regional level were the kings and the queens. Right? Think about it. The best they could do was deploy their troops, maybe change monetary policy. Fast forward to 100 years ago, who was the robber barons, the industrialists who could build the railroads, the libraries, the schools that would, uplift the community's life. But today, it's all of us. Today, we're living in a time, a day and age where any one of us can take a problem we truly are passionate about, that we truly care about, and solve it. We have access to, the world's information on Google, access to more computational power in the palm of our hands than the U.S. government had going to the moon. We have access to more capital today as exponential entrepreneurs, and I mean you and me, than ever before. $15 billion in crowdfunding, access to more angel and venture capital. Money is not the issue anymore. Today, it's also easier to start a company than ever before. I remember back in 2000 when I started my internet company, you go back and you do the numbers, the average internet company cost about $5 million for the servers, for the software, for the bandwidth, for the people. It was expensive to start a company back then. Today, and I write about this and I teach about this, you can start a company for $5,000 using, open source software, using the cloud. It's the ability, it's 1,000 times cheaper to get a company started. So we're starting to see more and more people, more and more entrepreneurs taking on problems, and it's that gives me the greatest hope for the future. And so what we're covering today is the playbook, the tools, whether on one end it's your mindset or whether it's accessing the crowd or it's which of these exponential technologies is appropriate for me to use. These are the tools for you to gain access to this incredible market, to this incredible, decade of opportunity that's coming our way. Let me share with you a short video I recently did about the difference between linear thinking, us humans, and the power of exponential growth and the impact it has in our lives. Then we'll be right back. I'm executive chairman, co-founder of a university called Singularity University. It's seen here. We're backed by Google, by 3D Systems, by Deloitte, by Genentech, by Cisco. Our mission as a university is to give the top graduate students and executives from around the world an understanding of what's in the lab today and coming to market in the next 2, 5, 10 years on these converging exponential technologies. Because these technologies are those that are the levers, if you would, to impact 1 billion people. And we talk about the fact that today an entrepreneur, and we cultivate about 15 startups a year out of SU, an entrepreneur can actually start a company that impacts 1 billion people in a decade. You'd have to have been Muhtar Kent at Coca-Cola or Jeff Immelt at GE or someone of that magnitude to actually impact 1 billion people before. Today, an individual can do this. And we teach, you want to become a billionaire, help 1 billion people. The world's biggest problems are the world's biggest business opportunities. We talk about exponential technologies. It's our mantra. And I want to begin by saying that we are all local and linear thinkers. We evolved on a world in which the world around us was local and linear. Nothing affected you that was not within a day's walk. And the life of your great-grandparents, your parents, you, your kids, 100,000 or 1 million years ago was the same. Nothing changed generation to generation. But today, things are changing year to year. We're living in a world that's global and exponential. The question is, what does exponential feel like, right? If I say to you, I want you to take 30 linear steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of us are great linear projectors. I'm saying, I'm there in 5 linear steps, there in 10, 30 linear steps, I'm across the hall, 30 meters away. But if I say to you, where are you going to be in 30 exponential steps? an exponential being a simple doubling, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, very few people will say in 30 exponential steps, I'll be 1 billion meters away. Put differently, I will have gone around the planet 26 times. And that difference between us thinking linearly while the world that you're creating, that you're using, the technologies, are growing exponentially is really the story here. You see this red line here? It's all of us. It's our politicians, it's our shareholders, it's our customers. We haven't had a hardware or software upgrade in 50,000 years. It's been a while. The yellow line is the technology you're using and creating. It's networks and sensors, AI, robotics, 3D printing, all of these areas. And the difference between these two is interesting, right? Because if you're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and some kid in the garage comes up with this disruptive new service or business model, it's disruptive stress. If you're the kid in the garage, it's disruptive opportunity. Besides that disruptive stress and that disruptive opportunity, what those two lines show us are two different ways of thinking. In the old way of thinking, it's what we all do, what we all have done, what every major company in the world tries to do today, which is how do we get 10% more? How do we get 10% more revenues or 10% lower costs? But these exponential technologies and these exponential mindsets we're here discussing today, and this is where I'm going to push you, it's not about 10% improvement, it's about 10 times improvement, right? Not 10%, 10 times, 1,000% improvement.
Wow, that is really powerful stuff, isn't it? With just one simple tweak of your mindset, changing from thinking linearly to thinking exponentially, those impossible to achieve goals suddenly seem more reachable, don't they? It's like Tony said in the beginning, impossible is just an opinion. So this tool to overcome impossibility and the obstacles you listed is the exponential mindset. Now in the past, you've been stuck. We've all been stuck on the obstacles standing between you and what your ideal future looks like, between you and the goals you know you need to accomplish. As you've discovered, the key to getting unstuck is changing your perspective, altering your mindset, and adapting your vision of what progress really is. And this works no matter what the challenge is. Whether you're trying to launch your first business or launch a rocket into space, these principles of exponential thinking work and work like crazy. Now, I want you to take a minute to look over the goal you've written on your sheet. Look at the very goal that you've failed to achieve in the past. Now, let's follow Peter's counsel and take just a few seconds to write that goal down that's 10 times or 100 times bigger. Was your goal to increase the profit for your business? Did you want to save for retirement? Did you want to help large groups of people get better access to clean drinking water? Pick whatever number, whatever measure of success for that goal that you had in mind, and multiply that measure by 10, 20, even 100 times. Now, have you done it? When you have a moment later today, I want you to map out 5 goals that you think are impossible to reach in the exact same way that we just did this exercise together. I want you to pick a problem that bothers you, something you're passionate about in your life or in the world around you, and I want you to multiply the measure of that success by 10, 20, or even 100 times. Then write it down. Because as you follow this exercise later today, keep in mind, this is the exact same process Peter uses to create billion-person goals that solve billion-dollar problems. It's how Peter has changed the world. This is the very technique that companies like Google with their think tank teams use to create new ideas and impact the globe. Right now, we've got the opportunity to rejoin Peter and discover exactly how companies like Google are able to consistently set and achieve higher, more abundant goals using one simple little formula that anyone can use.
And there's no place better in the world at this than Google's R&D labs called Google X. Actually, now it's called just X. And one of the most brilliant thinkers on this subject is a guy named Astro Teller. Astro is known as the captain of moonshots. What I'd like to do is show you one of my favorite videos. I get chills every time I see this video. Please focus in. This is incredibly important for anyone who wants to be an exponential entrepreneur. Take a look at this video on moonshot thinking, and we'll talk about it afterwards.
The actual moonshot is wonderful, inspirational, poetic, beautiful, involved great technical challenges, genuine heroism. It brought the world together. But think about the Polynesian islander on the dugout canoe, deciding one day they were going to go that way. No one had ever been that way before. No one even knew if there was anything that way before. It was amazing, and it changed the world.
People can set their minds to magical, seemingly impossible ideas, and then through science and technology bring them to reality. And that then sets other people on fire, that other things that look impossible might be accomplishable.
Galileo is such a hero, in thinking big, and what he represents to me is both curiosity and wonder that humanity had, that pushed him and drove himself to invent and work on the first telescopes that allowed us to see the moon, and here we are.
These aviation pioneers were figuring it out as they went. No one really knew how to build an airplane, right? No one knew how to fly an airplane. It was amazing and crazy and wonderful, and they wanted to explore.
Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said because it is there.
There's so many challenges in the world, and you could feel daunted by that, and sort of oppressed by that, or you kind of say, how might we think differently about this?
Everyone else in the world is working on that next 10%. If you can be the one that delivers that 10 times improvement, you have a chance to really change things.
If you want cars to run at 50 miles per gallon, fine, you can retool your car a little bit. But if I tell you it has to run on a gallon of gas for 500 miles, you have to start over.
You need a lot of courage in this work, and you need a lot of persistence. One of the things that's really critical is not only having the courage to keep trying every day or thinking big, even if you don't really 100% believe it's possible, like you might think, this might be possible. Have the courage to try. That's how the greatest things have happened.
You don't spend your time being bothered that you can't teleport from here to Japan, because there's a part of you that thinks it's impossible. Moonshot thinking is choosing to be bothered by that.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Humanity's progress has been a series of amazing, audacious things, from the very small and personal up to the great, big, and grand. And we are a species of moonshots. And to me, that's like the really amazing, poetic, and inspirational thing.
I think our ambitions are a glass ceiling on what we can accomplish.
When you find your passion, you're unstoppable. You can make amazing things happen. It's been true through all of history.
I believe in the human spirit, and I believe that there are always going to be crazy people who will get out of bed one morning and say, you know what? I think I could build a space element, and let's go do it. But I think that if we become afraid to take these great big risks, we stop inspiring people. We stop achieving things. And the biggest nightmare scenario is that we won't have what it takes to solve the really big challenges.
When Kennedy said that we would put a man on the moon, it's about the fact that he said we don't know how to do this yet, and we're gonna do it anyway. And that sends chills up everybody's spine. Because if that happens, what couldn't we do?
So I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I do, and the realization is this kind of moonshot thinking isn't just about tech companies. It truly is about people who are willing to let go of the past and reinvent your future. I think about the fact that today you can go online, come up with an idea, and actually launch a Kickstarter campaign and find out if the world wants to buy your new product or service and then sell it in advance. I mean, these kinds of tools of accessing the crowd, of imagining something and actually making it real weren't possible just a few years ago. We're living in a time where you can go from your mind to matter faster than ever before. So what's it about? It's about agility. It's about willingness to experiment. It's about your ability to find others out there who have a similar mindset. I know for every company I've ever started, it's about finding a couple of partners who bring different, tools and technologies. I'm not a software programmer. I'm just not. I've never, I coded back long ago, but today when I want to create a new company, I go out there and I find an amazing partner who understands coding or understands video production or understands how to build the hardware. What I know about is what drives me, my passion in space or human longevity or in educating entrepreneurs like yourself. And that passion is the connection with the customer. And then I find other people. So I want to urge you to think in a moonshot fashion. What does 10 times bigger look like for you in your life? Where could you go 10 times bigger versus that traditional way of going 10% bigger? Because when you start dreaming and thinking that way, it's incredible. Even if you don't go 10 times bigger, even if you just go 2 or 3 times bigger compared to 10%, it's a huge win.